Good morning. I'd like to welcome all of you here to the Stephen Sampson Senior Center. It's a great honor to host this event. I first would like to introduce many of the dignitaries who are here, beginning with our Governor, Phil Murphy, who you'll hear from in a few moments, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, our Senate President, Nick Scutari, the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin, Assemblyman Rob Karabinchak, Senator Joe Cryan, Assemblywoman Annette Quijano, Assemblyman Reginald Atkins, Assemblywoman Yvonne Lopez, Assemblywoman Elena Pinto-Marin, Union County Commissioner Sergio Granados, Commissioner Lourdes Leon, Commissioner Freeholder, no, I'm just kidding, Angela Garretson, Councilwoman Patricia Perkins Augusti, our Council President, Frank Mazza, Councilman Bill Gallman, of whose ward we're in, and Councilman Kevin Canary. I hope I didn't miss anyone. And today is a great day, not only for the city of Elizabeth, but many people throughout the state of New Jersey, where we have the opportunity to increase availability for affordable housing. Just Tuesday, I delivered our State of the City address in the city of Elizabeth. We talked about affordable housing in our city, with a total of 60 units that were fully leased on 1st and 3rd Streets. We received more than $5 million from the DCA Lieutenant Governor it was awarded for a building on 1st Street. We've worked with others for more units on East Jersey Street, leveraging state, city home dollars. There are 11 affordable units in process for veterans only on Morris Avenue. The YWCA is presently constructing a non-congregate shelter with home and American Rescue Plan dollars. Later this year, we are doing more affordable units on Cherry Street, the Elizabeth Coalition to House the Homeless. We're also doing more units on Magnolia Avenue with home dollars. And today, Governor, you're going to be working with a project on East Jersey Street that is going to jumpstart 26 more affordable units. The developer, Angel McGill, is here. And Governor, we thank you for your commitment, Lieutenant Governor, members of the Senate and the Assembly, for your commitment in working with our city and cities throughout the state for affordable housing. I give you the great Governor of the state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy.
Really well done. Thank you, Chris. And it is truly a all-star lineup of officials here today. I won't repeat the names, but I will say, Chris, first of all, thank you for hosting us and welcoming us so graciously. Secondly, it's my second trip to Elizabeth this week. In fact, I sat between Nick and Joe the other day and had the honor to swear in Sergio and BJ to their new terms as commissioners. This is one of these communities and one of these counties that, as it goes, so goes the state of New Jersey. So I'm thrilled to be back. I also want to give a shout out to, I think we're going to hear from Jeff Kolakowski, who's the CEO of the New Jersey Builders Association. What happened to Jeff? Right. If I were any closer to Jeff, I'd be behind him. And I also want to give Tom Bracken and Mike Egginton from the Chamber a shout out, and Michelle Sakirka from NJBIA, among other representatives here today. It is may I say a fairly, and I say this not in a partisan way at all, it is a stark contrast between what's going on in New Jersey, where we're getting stuff done, including on a bipartisan basis. Every article about this information literacy law that we signed, Sheila, had the word bipartisan in it. And look at what we're doing today and every day. And it's not just me, it's not just the folks in this room, and it's not just Democrats. It's folks coming to work every day trying to make this state as good as it can be. And I particularly want to give a shout out to the Senate President, in whose county we are, and he's also the county chair for the Democratic Party. Nick, thank you again for everything you do. And to your left, with equal passion, I salute the Speaker of the General Assembly, all the way in from Middlesex County, Craig Coughlin. So in a few minutes, I will sign a new law that aims to speed up the permitting process under the Uniform Construction Code Act at the local level without, importantly, sacrificing safety, fairness to homeowners and small developers, or effective oversight by the Department of Community Affairs. Many developers and homeowners and their contractors know the frustration of having a project reach the stage where it needs inspection to move forward only to find delays in actually having that inspection done. These delays can easily add days or even weeks or months in some cases to a project, and they can mean the difference between a house being built in time for move-in or an apartment building delivering on time to meet its financial obligations. And as both builders and homeowners can tell you, time is money, and more time in construction means less affordable homes. So under this law, again, which I look forward to signing in a few moments, local governments will have several new avenues to go down to improve their ability to conduct inspections in a timelier manner, whether it be through a streamlined bidding process to contract with private inspection agencies to conduct inspections for them, or entering into shared services agreements to consolidate work among neighboring municipalities. Developers and contractors will also be able to have their work checked by a private inspection agency should local construction officials fail to meet their obligation to conduct an inspection within 3 days of a requested inspection date. And under the law, DCA, under Sheila's great leadership, will have expanded powers to hold local offices to their duties and deadlines. This law brings New Jersey in line with several other states where private sector inspectors supplement the efforts of their public sector peers. Yet one thing that will not change is that final construction approval and sign-off on a certificate of occupancy will still come from the local construction official. Again, I'm specifically grateful to Senate President Nick Scutari and Assembly. Where's Rob? You cannot walk into Middlesex County unless you can say the word Karabinchak. To Assemblyman Rob Karabinchak for leading in getting this bill to my desk, and to the New Jersey Builders Association, NAIOP, NJ, our very first meeting, NAIOP, I remember it way back when I wasn't even a candidate. This was on the agenda, Mike, right? The New Jersey Business and Industry Association, as I mentioned, and the State Chamber of Commerce. I thank all of them for their partnership in crafting a measure that provides fairness across the board. And I must express my immense gratitude to a guy who's with us today, former DCA Commissioner and Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency Director, Chuck Richmond. Chuck, God bless you, buddy. Who's sitting beside the one and only Terry Tucker, I might add. Chuck, against any good judgment, joined my economic development team last year as a senior advisor on state permitting, our so-called permitting czar, and has played an outsized role in this effort. And none of us are surprised that we got to today when we knew Chuck was on the job. And Sheila knows that as well as any of us. I also want to give Joe Machine Gun Kelly a shout out. Joe, raise your hand. And Eric, Only in America Brophy in the back, also on our team. Moreover, as important as this law is to reducing construction headaches, it will also promote housing affordability and keep our economic recovery going. Whether it is a business looking to move to one of our communities, or one to expand its current operations, or maybe a family looking for a new or improved place to call home, this law will keep our construction industry and the thousands, by the way, of the jobs that support it moving forward. In that second aspect, getting families into safe, affordable homes is a critical part of our administration's overall efforts to make our state the very best place in America to call home. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is one of our state's critical resources for creating sorely needed new affordable housing units. I just looked up, and I don't know why, Sergio, I looked at you. I realized I also swore on Rebecca Williams, who's not here, but I want to give her a shout out. Today, the Department of Community Affairs, under Sheila's leadership, and we'll hear from her in a moment, is announcing another $6.8 million in grant awards from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. These funds will help bring online 20 new affordable housing units in Elizabeth, 10 in Camden, and 6 in East Orange, all in projects designed to advance the neighborhood development goals of these communities. And these 36 units are just the most recent housing investments from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and we look forward to many more. In our administration's budgets, we ended the prior practice of raiding the trust fund for other purposes. Our guiding principle has been quite simple. Money meant for affordable housing should go to affordable housing. These grants prove our resolve. Additionally, again under Sheila's leadership, the department will be deploying another $12 million from the Federal National Housing Trust Fund, which provides zero-interest loans to eligible housing developers to develop or rehabilitate rental units for low-income New Jerseyans. These funds will be shared across 13 projects in 12 municipalities, by the way, north, central, and south, which together will bring 42 units online. And one final project being developed by the St. Joseph's Carpenter Society in Woodbury will receive federal so-called HOME, H-O-M-E, uppercase, funds to create one affordable home ownership unit in that community. So what we have today is a twofer. We're going to make it easier for construction projects to move forward, and we're putting more funding into the pipeline to get affordable housing construction projects going. Not a bad day's work for a Thursday. Before I put my pen to the paper and sign our streamlined construction inspection law, I want us to hear from some of the folks doing the work day in and day out to keep our state moving forward and growing. Again, Chris, thank you so much for so graciously hosting us. With that, please help me welcome my rockin' singular partner in government, the great Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver.
Good morning, everyone. Whenever I come to Elizabeth, it seems like I always bump into Mayor Bolwich and Senator Cryan and Assemblywoman Quijano. And, you know, I'm no stranger to Elizabeth, so I'm very happy to be here today, all of you. And for you old-timers from Elizabeth, I've been coming to Elizabeth for decades because you were the home of the original Daffy Dans. And Levy's Shoes on the waterfront. So this is a town that I know. You know, it's a pleasure to be here with Governor Murphy today for this bill signing, and it has been a long time coming. And to the Assemblyman, I told him it's like his birthday today because from the time he came to the legislature, this has been his bellwether issue whenever you cross paths with him. And you know, being new to the legislature and having a background in the construction industry, I know he wanted to tear his hair out some days about why we couldn't get this done. But you have had your initiation into how the sausage is made, okay? So we did get here. Before I talk about affordable housing, I want to tell the staff from DCA how much I appreciate their hard work in getting us for both of the initiatives we're disclosing today, and particularly former Commissioner Chuck Richmond, who has worked with the staff and the governor's office to work on this project as well. And I want to promise the industry, we got here with the third-party inspections. Stay tuned. We will get to electronic permitting soon. We will get there. And one of the most critical things we can do is to make it easier for those of you in the industry to get your inspections done. My phone goes off the hook all the time, not just from home builders, but even locally, business owners who are opening up a new shop on Main Street in Metuchen, but they've got to get that inspection, and every day they don't get it, it costs them more money as business owners. So thank you, everyone in the industry and on our staff and the municipalities for working with us to get here today. I think it's going to be a great thing. And while the bill that Governor Murphy is signing today is focusing on expediting the building inspection process, it's not being done at the expense of building safety. And I want everyone to understand that. And our Division of Codes and Standards, I know you've all dealt with them. You know my guys are hard-nosed, hardcore. They're not cutting corners. Safety is the rule of the day in DCA at Codes and Standards. We take pride in knowing that, New Jersey has some of the best construction statutes in the country. We are called by states all around who want to pattern some of the things that we do within the division, and I think that's a testimony to everyone. I also have to thank the Senate President and the Speaker because they too were involved in this project and this bill in getting us to third-party inspections. And they were willing to keep an open mind and a listening ear to why this would benefit everyone across the board. So I want to thank Senate President Scuteri, and I want to thank Speaker Coughlin. Speaker, you never had to go 6 or 7 rounds, did you? Okay. And Assemblywoman Pinta Marin is here as well, and you know that she is a friend, an advocate, and a supporter for the building industry. Representing Newark's Ironbound, you know that there are always shovels in ground, there are always building projects going on there, and I know that this is an important initiative and bill for your constituency too, Ileana. And as the Commissioner of DCA, I've had the opportunity to come to the agency after there had been an 8-year drought. I'm going to repeat that, an 8-year drought. We were shut down in this state with the creation of affordable housing by an administration that did not think that this was a priority or that it was important. From day one, Governor Murphy recommitted, as you heard him say, that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund would be used for affordable housing. And we have done that. During our first term, and Chuck pointed this out to me because, Chuck, when he left DCA, he went over to HMFA. Despite the pandemic, despite the challenges of the market, during our first administration, the early days, we produced 5,500 new units of affordable housing. And, as the governor pointed out, what we're talking about today with the projects that will be done in the 13 municipalities, it's going to create more units. It's a wonderful thing to go to these ribbon cuttings and to meet the families that are moving into these units. Housing is transformative in people's lives. And be assured that we are doing something that is furthering the Murphy-Oliver agenda of making New Jersey a more equitable place to live. Thank you.
Love that, Sheila. And you sometimes, Chris and I were just talking about affordable housing and UEZs. 2 home run, you have no choice. They transform, obviously, the former people's lives, the latter communities, and you scratch your head and wonder what the heck were people thinking. Thank you, Sheila, for your leadership. And Ileana, nice to see you. You good? Okay. You're behind Rob Karabinchak. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. Listen, no matter how good an idea Sheila or I or Chuck or any of us may have, it takes a village, and you don't get to today without great legislative leadership. And he's been mentioned several times. Please give it up for Union County's own, the Senate President, Nick Scuteri.
I was sitting there with the speaker, and he saw that I actually brought notes today, because you don't use notes. And I'm not going to use them today either, actually. I had the honor and pleasure of working with Assemblyman Karabinchak on this bill. I was the sponsor in the Senate, along with Senator Deignan. I did not have the long odyssey that you did. We took over sponsorship last year, but given the breadth of the audience here today, the local senators, Senator Cryan, the Assembly members, Mayor Bolwidge, the governor, lieutenant, I don't know why this was so hard, honestly. When I saw the bill, I honestly said that. I said, this seems like a slam dunk, and we started to work on it right away, and it passed, I believe, unanimously in both houses. I mean, it was good sense, good government for a piece of legislation I think that was overdue. So I want to thank you, Assemblyman, for keeping that and bringing that to my attention when I first got on board as Senate President. I'm happy to work with you on this. I think it's a good sense piece of legislation combined with the additional funding that the governor is putting forward to build affordable housing. This is something that's going to continue to spur the economy, something that our Democratic Party has been working forward to. And as the governor said before, Trenton has been working. We see the machinations in Washington this week, but Trenton has been working. I had the honor and pleasure of working with members on the other side of the aisle that I'm happy to work with. We work together in making sure that we have common sense solutions for common problems in New Jersey. This bill to me seemed like a slam dunk from the moment I saw it. I'm glad that the Builders Association and others supported the bill, and we can move forward with working towards keeping our economy going and providing for affordable housing for the people that's so sorely needed here in New Jersey. Thank you, Senator Cryan, Mayor Bolwidge, for continuing to push these important issues here in Union County. Union County's been a hub of this type of economic activity, and it starts right here in the city of Elizabeth with the leadership of Mayor Bolwidge. Thanks so much for signing this, Governor. Thank you, Assemblyman, and all the others that contributed. Thank you.
Nick, amen to all of that. And Rob and I were just having a sidebar, 11 Republican co-sponsors. I mentioned the information literacy law. I was on the phone 30 minutes ago with John DeMaio. I'll be on with Senator Connor this afternoon, congratulating him on an extraordinary career. We're not going to always agree, right? That's a given. But where we can find common ground, we will find it, and we will pursue it, and we will be all better for it. And that's the way things work in this state, and I'm incredibly proud of that. I know the Senate President is, and Sheila, and all of you. And with that, again, not only do you need one house, you need two houses to get to today. We couldn't have a better leader in the Assembly. Please help me welcome the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin. By the way, Craig, there's no truth to the rumor that you want to push forward the rule that one person can do a recall vote in the Assembly?
Thank you, Governor, and thanks everybody for being here. I have to confess that this is probably the only bill signing, or certainly the first bill signing I can ever remember where the construction code is the subject of the bill that has brought together everybody here. This is rarefied air for construction code amendments. I got to tell you, Jeff, I see Jeff smiling. He goes, "This has never happened before." But look at who's here. And we got the governor, we got the lieutenant governor, the Senate president, the sponsors of the bill. Senator Cryan is here. Tom Eggington and Tom Bracken and Michelle Gerg. I mean, this is like a kumbaya moment. We should do more construction bill amendments, darn it. And you have my commitment that we will get these done. And of course, my friend Annette Chiano is here, one of the true leaders in my caucus, along with my budget chair and a woman I have immense regard for, Ileana Pinto-Marin. Thank you all for being here. Thanks everybody for coming out. I think what really brought us together today is the bill, for sure, but because that makes so much common sense and really builds on the LSRP program that has been in place for a long time and has shown repeatedly that really works and helps move things along, because that's what really makes us successful. That's what makes New Jersey work, is moving things along, getting things done, getting the projects going and going on to the next one. But I think in a larger sense, perhaps, this is a celebration of small business and a recognition of the things that are important to that. And then at the essence of that is the common sense thing. Somebody alluded to it, I think Senate President, who talked about it, or the governor, probably everybody, because it's the truth. It's what is at the heart of this. It just makes sense, right? Getting people's projects done, getting expansion projects done, keeps the communities growing. Mayor Bolich, and thank you for hosting us today. Thanks for all that you do and your great leadership. But you understand probably better than anybody in this room what it means to a community to have projects constantly developing. To our friends in labor, having work to do means an awful lot. And this is the kind of bill that helps get those things going. Folks can work to establish a schedule that they can rely on, because they can have a contractual obligation. I apologize, Assemblyman Atkins is here right in the front row. It's like I had the same kind of vision problem I guess the governor had. You didn't see Karabinchik and Kolakowski are sitting right next to each other, 2 rows back. But the truth of the matter is it gets that done, right? And it gets things moving and it gets done. And it frees up some of the municipal resources to go help people who are doing projects in their own backyard, who wouldn't necessarily need somebody on a job all the time, but allows for that to be done. And so congratulations to Assemblyman Karabinchak for your dogged pursuit of this. I think this bill's been around one form or another for 10 years. You haven't been there 10 years, so you got it going. And to Senator Scutari, of course, for being the sponsor in the Senate and getting this done. And the governor alluded to it, Senator Scutari, Senate President Scutari talked about, this is really reflective of what happens when there is good, common sense legislation that matters to people. We have demonstrated in New Jersey an ability to come together, an ability to work across the aisle, both sides of the aisle. It was unanimous in my house. I believe it was unanimous, as you pointed out, Senate President, in your house, because it makes sense for everybody, and we get that. And that's something that we get in New Jersey. And I think that's something we ought to be really, truly proud of as we continue to move forward to it. I'll give you another example. I've said it before. At this time in this nation, talking about election reform that is done on a bipartisan basis, where in our House it was myself and Minority Leader DeMaio who were the sponsors of bills to make sure that people in New Jersey understood how elections ought to be done, and can rely on that. That's the kind of leadership that we have now in Trenton, and that's the kind of work we ought to be proud of, and this is reflective of this. So it's a good bill for communities, it's a good bill for people who want to develop, it's a good bill for people who want to expand their businesses, start small businesses. It's good for all of us. And so this is really a day that is worthy of taking what is normally sort of a mundane change in a building code and bringing it to the fact that the governor's signing it here in public. And the notion that we're going to continue to use the housing trust to build low and moderate income housing is just such a colossal win, because it's something, I talk about it a lot when I talk about food. The truth of the matter is there's things we have to do as a great state that are more a moral obligation than a governmental function. One of them is feeding people. One of them is making sure that people have housing. And we take a big step forward today. So this, Lieutenant Governor Oliver and Governor Murphy, thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership, of course, Governor, always in making common sense things become a reality, and we're doing that again today. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Craig, thank you in underscoring 3 themes you hit. Small business, labor, our brothers and sisters in labor. We are the quintessential organized labor state, and affordable housing. Now, some of the reasons, a study just came out, and you may have seen it. This is a preamble to say that I know Sheila and the team agree passionately with this. This is a big step, but our work is not done. Study just came out that showed in northern Jersey, right now, I think in the past month or several months, there are 21 seekers for a rental apartment for every unit available. Now, some of that's because interest rates have gone up and people are making a bet, I'll rent for a while and I'll make the bet that housing prices are going to go down for single-family homes. That has not happened. Joe will tell me otherwise. I think the median price is now $470,000 for a single-family home in New Jersey. That's up $70,000 or more since the pandemic. There is very short supply, low double-digit thousands homes available. You still have to pay, this is as of last month, over 100% of the asking price. So we continue to be a very hot state. But the problem is, when you've got a 21-to-1 ratio, the pressure on finding affordable units is only going up. So I just would say that. I know Sheila is in violent agreement with me on this. Our work is not done, and we will stay at it. And again, partly we're a victim of success here, I guess, to some extent, although we're never going to spike the football, and we know we have a lot of work still to do to make this as affordable a state as possible, but those are realities that I've just mentioned. Again, Speaker, thank you for your great leadership, and I'm going to see you and Rob later on today in Middlesex County for the reorganization. And with that, please help me welcome the guy who was a fierce advocate and driver and leader on this landmark piece of legislation, the aforementioned from Middlesex County, Assemblyman Rob Karabenchek.
Thank you, everyone. I have to thank everyone who took part in this legislation. The Governor's Office, Lieutenant Governor's Office, DCA, Chuck Richmond, Nick. When we talked about this many times, you know, bringing it through the Senate was so important. The Speaker, we talked and changed so many different things. The builders, the stakeholders, the public was involved. We had the inspectors involved. We talked to every single group that this touched. At the end of the day, this was a collaborative effort of great government, and that's what New Jersey shows today. Everybody was involved. As the governor said, it was bipartisan. We actually had Republicans sign on to this bill, and more wanted to, but it was too late at that time. At the end of the day, this legislation helps move New Jersey forward. With the affordable housing, that's also going to be, money's going to be divvied out to the different respective towns. This is going to help the people who need that affordable housing to be able to get in there sooner. That's so important for everyone, for their lives. This is a major step for New Jersey. Obviously, as the governor said, there's more to do. And with everyone's help, we're looking to do more and do better and make New Jersey extremely competitive in the industry to bring more businesses here, because this is the greatest state in the nation. So with that being said, I just wanted to thank every single person who I've spoken to, who has given me their comments and has helped in this legislation. And Governor, thank you so much. I look forward to your signing this today. Thank you.
Rob, great work. And listen, again, when you got a hot state, even though I worry about what's around the corner, affordability continues to be a big issue. I worry the impact of the Fed's rate increases will have on dampening and softening the economy meaningfully. We still, our work is not done as a general matter. But Rob, to your point, third quarter versus second quarter, top 10 economic growth in the country comparison. Ahead of, by the way, among others, Florida. Top in the region. We take none of that for granted. We know we have to work at that every day, especially on affordability. But that is a sign that businesses, families, folks are planting their flags, which is all great news, but it puts pressure on affordable housing, on infrastructure, making sure we care for the environment, that we have equity in our system. So we'll stay at it. Rob, thank you so much for being dogged in your leadership of this. Last but not least, I mentioned Jeff Kolakowski's name earlier. He's the CEO of the New Jersey Builders Association, and it's a real treat to have him and so many other folks involved in this industry with us today. Jeff, come on down.
It's a pleasure to be with you all today. I first wanted to thank Governor Murphy for including me in today's event. It's quite an honor. Also wanted to acknowledge my immediate past president, Corey Wesco, and my current president, Tom Bavino. Their efforts and support were crucial in getting us to the finish line here and helping us provide relief, much needed relief, to the residential building industry. This process to drive these essential reforms is something that the NJBA was proud to be a part of, and we're extremely pleased with the outcome. And as you've heard, there's many people to thank. I wanted to recognize my coalition partners, Chamber of Commerce, BIA, and NIOP, the legislative sponsors, Senate President Scutari, for Speaker Coughlin, all the other legislators who lent their support this effort, and of course, particularly Assemblyman Karabinchak for his tireless efforts in this regard. And then, of course, to Governor Murphy, Lieutenant Governor Oliver, and all the administration officials and staff who came together and came to the table to find a sensible solution to a problem that has quietly plagued the state's residents and its development and business communities. This is a prime example of good government and showing a prime example of when the private and public sector can come together to provide better the needs of the New Jersey's residents. The inefficiencies and rigidity of our current inspection process is one of those hidden costs that impacts everyone. Every business owner who needs an inspection has to pass those costs along to consumers. Every business looking to make an investment and create new jobs in New Jersey considers New Jersey's high development costs and its extremely long timetables. Every developer looking to build new units has to factor the additional costs into the purchase price and leases. And every property owner that is looking to maintain or make investments in their properties have to pay more. This initiative will result in improved and cost-effective practices that will ultimately lower the price of housing in New Jersey and make New Jersey a more favorable place to do business. It also provides towns with additional tools and flexibility and, more importantly, the ability to reduce the burden on their municipal budgets. And lastly, this bill creates a more nimble workforce that could be more responsive to the state's development patterns and others emerging issues. And it also helps create new businesses and new occupations in the skilled trades. We recognize that there's many factors that lead to New Jersey being a high-cost state. But New Jersey's taken a pretty big step today to start getting us on a better path and beginning to address our affordability problems. We're extremely encouraged by this bill being signed today. We're even more encouraged by the renewed focus by the state's policymakers on beginning to address a lot of the structural issues that really stifle the state's economic growth. I thank you again, Governor, for taking the final action on this bill today, and again, appreciate the opportunity to provide remarks today. Thank you.
Jeff, well said, and thanks to you and your colleagues and your coalition partners for helping us get to today. As they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. Let's sign this thing.
Down in front. Guys, can we not block the cameras, please?
Assembly Bill 573, sponsored in the Assembly by Rob Karabinchak, Roy Fryman, Clinton Calabrese, and Lou Greenwald, and in the Senate by Senate President Nick Scutari and Senator Pat Duignan, and a whole passel of co-sponsors that I mentioned, including 11 Republicans. And the synopsis is a fairly straightforward one. Provides for expedited construction inspections. I wish it had been that easy. Okay. First up to bat is our host mayor, Chris Polwich. Chris, congratulations. my partner in government, the one and only Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver. Senate President, Union County Zone, Nick Scuteri. Congratulations. Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin. Assemblyman, the aforementioned Rob Karabinchak. What's it, fifth? Fifth, okay. Thank you. From the New Jersey Builders Association, it's CEO Jeff Kolakowski. Jeff, congratulations. And last but certainly not least, I think it's fair to say, you know, when they asked Bruce Springsteen, when did they go big time? And his answer was when the big man joined the band. And the big man in this case is the one and only Chuck Richmond. Chuck, that's all she wrote. And I'm proud to say that this is now the law of the land. All righty, Darren, don't lose us. Very good.